that we think people need a little bit more information on. Uh, and then we will have time for questions at the end. Thank you for giving us some time on your Sunday night. I know we've all had long weekends of color guard, and these are tough, but we really appreciate it. So with that, we will go ahead and get started.
Sounds good. Thank you, Matt. So hi, I'm Lauren. The first thing we have gotten a lot of questions about is championships eligibility and what that means and what that looks like. So basically, everybody needs 4 shows in order to qualify for championships. 2 of those shows, as you guys probably know, have to be on or before midseason, which is here on March 11th. If you could just make sure you're muted, that would be totally great. Thank you, friends. So you just want to make sure that if you do need to withdraw from a show, that you have a plan for a backup in case you only have 4 events. And part of the reason some people have asked, well, why 2 shows on or before midseason? So part of the reason behind that is first and foremost to make sure everybody's classified appropriately. And then also really to support our early season show hosts, because if you didn't have to come out until, March, maybe a lot of people wouldn't come out till March, and then we would have a lot of people who wouldn't be able to host shows. So that's kind of what that's about. If anybody has any questions about championship eligibility, I've got all kinds of spreadsheets. I've notified you if you have an issue, but so if you haven't gotten an email, you're good to go. On that note with registration, so in the beginning when we signed up in CompSuite, and that's how you signed up for your shows. So now all registration is shut down through CompSuite, and that's so that we can effectively manage that. So if you need to add a show or you need to drop out of a show, you just need to email maincolorguards@gmail.com, and we will take care of that for you and take care of it in Competition Suite for you. And the reason for that is when you add into a show or when you withdraw from a show in CompSuite, depending on where we are in the process of building that show, it doesn't actually remove you or add you into the show on our end. So we've had units who've emailed us when the schedule came out and said, oh, I pulled out of that show, weeks ago. And we're like, well, you didn't notify us. And it doesn't actually remove you in CompSuite on our end. So that's why we need you to email us. So it's not that the shows are closed. A few people have been concerned that the shows are closed. They're still open. You can still add into shows. It's totally cool. We just need to be able to do that. And also Michelle updates the website manually with who's attending. So there was one week where I think we had it was a lot of changes and we had no idea. And unfortunately, one of the units who did that ended up not being eligible for championships, and they can't go to championships now because they took themselves out of a show they needed. And so that's another thing is, we want you to be aware of, if you to come out of the show, you might not be eligible for championships. We don't want anyone to be in that sad position. So then the next thing we're going to do is we're going to do a little tour of CompSuite and show you where some stuff is, because I think it's got a lot of resources that we can use, and including all kinds of stuff for your unit and things for, I hope it didn't kick me out again. Oh, it sure did. Okay, how can I not have everyone in the world see my password while I do this? One sec, friends.
Yeah, go sign in, and then
I don't want everyone to see my password.
It should just see the if you don't have the show thing, it should just be the dots anyway. But
it comes up with the thing, and since it's being recorded, I don't want it to.
What? Then we can all go in.
I know, right? You can all be me. Okay, I'm gonna try this again. Share content, screen, start. Please work. Yay! Hallelujah. Okay, so here I am. I am logged in as I'm logged in as a unit director right now for my team. So you can see, your past events on the dashboard. If you click on upcoming events, you can see your upcoming events. Right here, you can see that my performance music has not been updated right there. So that is important. That needs to be done. And critique sign up right below that, there is when critique sign up goes live for that event, that's where you will sign up for critique. And in a moment, I'll show you kind of what those slots look like. I have to go to the other end of things. The next button on your dashboard, the resources button, this will have your master agreement, which Ginny actually just sent a whole flurry of emails to units who do not have their master agreements in. And that is something that's required for every unit. So if you haven't done that, you need to download this and get it signed. And then we will show you in a moment where to upload that. But technically, you're not permitted to perform in Maine without a master agreement on file. So we will start to need to start talking to some people about that, because we really need those, like legally, we need those in for the circuit and for everyone's protection. Again, performance music, if you want to upload your performance music, which I have not, you can, this is where you do it. So you will drop your performance music file here. There is a cutoff every week. This is super important. The cutoff every week is Wednesday at 10:59 p.m. If your music finishes uploading at 11, it didn't go. It won't be in that event. And so the way that works is each event's cutoff happens that Wednesday night at 10:59 p.m. So if you upload your music on Thursday, the event does not have access to that music. There is literally no possible way for the event host to get your updated soundtrack through CompSuite. So even if you update it after that deadline, it will be for the next event, not that week's event. So you will need to then bring a backup device. And important to note with your backup device, you need to have your music downloaded to your device. And PS, you should bring it back up to every show anyway. It's just one of those best practices. You want to have it downloaded to your device. You want to make sure that your device is on airplane mode so that you don't get a phone call or a notification during the course of your performance. And then you want to change your lock screen timing to never, so that your phone doesn't accidentally lock during your performance and then your music stops playing, because sometimes that can affect things. So download it to your device, put your device on airplane mode, and change your lock screen timing to never, if you're not going to use the file from CompSuite. And you can have a file in CompSuite and then just tell the sound table operator, hey, we're going to use this backup device, not the one in CompSuite. And since everyone has a representative at the sound table at every show, you can help manage that. Just a word of reminder that you do need to have a representative at the sound table, and the sound operator cannot take direction at all, volume up, volume down, stop the music, restart the music, anything like that. Nothing can happen except for the person that's at the sound table. They can't take direction from the stands or anywhere else. So just a reminder about that. Back to CompSuite. So then here's a fun button. This is going to change your lives. Registration. So as we mentioned, we closed off all the registration in CompSuite. So there's nothing under upcoming. You have 3 buttons here with registration status. There's nothing under upcoming. There's nothing under open. But when you go to closed, you can see the tentative start time for every single event. So for those of you who may have questions about when is such and such event starting, you just have to click that little button right there, and it will show you the start times of all of the events. And it even shows you for championships. This is my Scholastic A team. So this is my Sunday at the bottom for championships. So you can see the tentative start time is 10:30 a.m. For the Saturday show, you can see it's 10 a.m. You can also click this fun button that says view registrants, and it'll show you all of the teams in every class that are registered for that show. And again, you can only see the championship event for which your team is eligible to register. So if you're in a novice class, you won't see the Sunday event. And if you're in the world class, you won't see the Saturday event. That's just how that works. But that is where you can find the start times for every event. It's a beautiful thing. So next is, well, invoices, obviously. Yeah, sure, that's there. Organization data. This is where you're going to upload your master agreement. So for those of you who haven't done that yet, that's right there. You're going to click this little cloud icon. And that's where you're going to drop your master agreement once it's complete. It is only one file, so make sure you've combined it all into one file. And then everything else, if you have a sync license, if your contact information, who your roster is, your spiel sheet, and then down in the spiel sheet here, we have this new one that's your production info that you can do, which is 300 characters, which the judges can access on their devices as you're performing. And then also, of course, your staff listing is also mandatory for you to submit with their names and email addresses. Speaking of staff, if you click on staff management, you can see all of your staff members. And I'm going to click off of that just because this is being recorded. You can see all of your staff members, and that's where you can see if you have anyone pending. And some of you will find that you have a lot of pending members. As far as the phone numbers go, you can add your phone number there, and you can do that. I believe it's in staff management, and I can click on myself, right? Oh, I forgot. It's under administration. No, it's under settings. There we go. So if you click on settings, it's the little gear at the top right, next to the little door settings. Then it'll come up with your name, and then that's where you add your phone number. So now y'all have my phone number. But that's where you can access that information and put your phone number in. You cannot add your staff members' information because of like laws with adding, like signing people up for stuff. I also wanted to show you briefly what it looks like for critique sign up in case you've never done that. So I'm going to show you at the show we just had at the Woodbridge show, what that looks like. So over here, you can see we had one block of units after novice class. We started to try to have some critiques after, like if there's 2 awards, we try to increase the intermission time to allow some of those earlier classes the opportunity in the middle of the event to have critique. And they're still eligible to go at the end of the night, but there's only a limited number of spots because we need to also give the judges a break. But we've been trying that the last 2 weeks. It's worked out really well. So you'll only see that if you're eligible. So you can see that SN means only Scholastic Novice was eligible for that time slot this past week. We do ask if you're going to one of those early slots that you absolutely show up for that, because it's limited and you're taking the spot away from someone else who may want to sign up. Now, let's say you go in and you want to be in that 410 critique and it's full. Down here, there's also a wait list. You can also add yourself to the wait list. And then you can go at 410 and say, hey, did anybody not show up? And then we can squeeze you in. So you can always add yourself to the wait list. So there's always 20 spots for critique. And those 20, it's in the rule book that we do critique for 20 units or fewer if there's, critique for all if there's fewer at the show. But the reason that we do a sign up is because it is limited to 20 units. So any show that has more than 20 units, it's basically first come, first served. And the first 20 units who sign up get in. So at the show, we had 4 slots here and then 16 slots here. And then we had, wait list slots. But it is first come, first served. It's usually Tuesday at 9 p.m. is when it goes live. And you have to go in through CompSuite, like I just showed you, and sign up. And then the order of critique, you can find that out in the director packet, which we will get to shortly. The other thing I forgot to mention really quick, just looking at my notes, is as far as back on the unit side of things, let me just go back over there. If you have any updates for like your spiel sheet, and I briefly kind of looked at this organization data, we're going to click on that. Let's say you have like a personnel change, how many total performing members are on your team. You can edit that here, and you have until Wednesday at 9 p.m. What is it? 10:59 p.m. You have till Wednesday at 10:59 p.m. to make a change to that. Also to your spiel sheet, you have until Wednesday at 10:59. So that's all that same cutoff as the music upload. And that's so that we can get the show hosts get an email literally late Wednesday night or early Thursday morning with all of this information. So that is where that lives. So does anybody have any questions about any of the stuff that we just reviewed? We still have more to talk about, but in the meantime, is there anybody who has any questions about any of that stuff in CompSuite or anything like that?
Lauren, not a question, but just a comment about the performance music upload, that once you do that, it makes you listen to you have to hit play, and then makes you listen to the entire file before you can hit like accept. So just to verify that it is like the correct one, like if you made changes to your music since previously uploading it, or if it's like the first time you're uploading it, just that it's like the right file.
That is a good point. It sure does. So you can't start uploading it at like 10:55. You won't have enough time.
And make sure that you like put in the information if you are doing like WGI and main or another circuit, that you have to upload that information like for each one. It should be bars on the side, should tell you which category you're in. And the same for like the spill sheet and roster stuff too.
Yes, good point. Thank you, Sharon. Anybody else have any questions about Comp Suite music uploads, any of that good stuff? Cool, take it away, Sharon.
Oh, sorry, I'm next.
You're good.
Okay, so the next item is the timing for body and equipment warm-ups. That you have your interval time depending on what class you're in. If you are, have the 7-minute, 8-minute, 9-minute, or 10-minute interval time, that is the amount of time that you have in those warm-up areas. So if you started in there like if the show was like running behind, you know what I mean, and you got in there a couple minutes later than the time that's on the schedule, you still have that 7 or 8 minute time. And also like you don't get extra time if for some reason like the show is held up or something like that and you end up in the room for like longer. You should definitely not end up in the room for shorter amount of time. But I personally, my color guard was held up in the equipment warm up one time for like the lighting situation at your regional last year, Lauren. Okay. And so a WGI person came in and told us like we could like stop. And then they came back and said, okay, you can get started again. Like we could pause. Like it was like the weirdest, this never happened before, probably will never happen again. But we basically, we did like 3 minutes and then we got like another 5 minutes after. It was weird. So, or we could have continued and then we would have had to wait at the end. Like we had that option, but it was a extenuating circumstance where that happens. But and I know another time years ago, we were stuck in the gym at like where someone, there was an issue in the gym. And we were stuck in the warm-up area and whatever. So, as long as they kind of keep you informed, and you can tell the person doing the timing, the volunteer there, may automatically give you a 1-minute warning, a 2-minute warning. They might hold up a sign. They might, give you a wave or something, but, you could always tell them, I want a warning at 2.5 minutes or something, like it's okay to request something else from them if you need it. And is there anything else about that topic? Or that was it, I think.
Yeah, the only other thing is if you happen to show up late to your warm up.
Oh, okay.
Then
yeah, so if your warm up started at like 7:20 and you weren't there yet and you got there at 7:23, you only got like 4 more minutes or 5 more minutes. Like, you only got, because that has happened where groups show up, maybe barely make it to the show on time and miss a warm up or something like that. Like that's happened. So you only get the time that, is left, basically, is remaining in the warm up area. So just try to be on time for, especially body warm up, because that's going to be like the first one. Like, no, I always kind of look ahead and know the guard I'm behind. So I can kind of like, if I see them go, I'm like, okay, well, we're next, like I just kind of like to, know who I'm behind. And I think that's it for that topic. And then the next one is the number of wristbands at shows, because this question has come up multiple times as to, every guard gets 10 wristbands for staff, bus driver, parent, whoever they want to allocate it to, they have 10 wristbands. The show host may decide you're only going to get 2 front side and 8 back side because they may want to reserve the front side seats for spectators, especially at shows where the bleachers are not that big. You know, there's definitely some space restrictions at a few places that, you know, are going to limit that. So, you know, I know some people ask, you know, why are they getting these different wristbands, or, you know, who decides that? So that is up to the show host to make that call. And, you know, that's the way it is. So.
I have 2 questions about that, and they're pretty minor, but I just have 2 questions. First of all, if we get 10, and it's not a big deal because there are times where I don't have 10 people, some show hosts will ask us how many staff we have. Like, shouldn't it just be 10 off the rip, like without, you know, 'cause sometimes you're flustered, you're trying to get the kids in the door and they're like, how many staff do you have? And I'm like, well, isn't it 10? You know, you know, so that's a little bit confusing. And number 2, if it is a show where you get the 2 front sideline and the 8 back sideline, right? And I have 2 parent volunteers drive my floor, are they permitted to watch us from the front and then the rest of the night go in the back, or do they have to watch us from the back? You know, gets a little tricky too. I mean, it worked out at the Hillsborough show. I think they were able to watch us from the front, and then the rest of once they left the gym with us, the rest of the show from the back, and that's fine. That's totally fine. I just, you know, I'm trying to avoid that. Eventually, they're going to say to me, "Well, we're not going to do this if we can't watch the kids from the front." You know, so is that a thing? Like, are they permitted to walk in with us, watch us from the front, and then go right back out again with us?
So if they go through rotation with your team and they're entering with your team in the gym, then they should be able to go to the front and watch your team, and then, you know, exit, and then whatever. If they wanted to stay for the whole show, they should buy like in the front.
Agreed.
Yeah.
Okay.
So yeah, if they're walking in with you and then walking
Okay.
out, that should be fine.
Okay. Thank you.
And then your other question about the check-in, yes, it should be 10. But for attendance reasons, they may ask you how many, because they're trying to keep track for attendance purposes.
Okay.
And
Okay.
like also like some buildings have like fire marshal capacity things. So that kind of helps them, even not only just for this year, but also for next year planning, like, okay, we had an average of this many staff. So, you know, that kind of thing.
Okay. Thank you.
Thank
So,
you.
and
Good question.
the wristbands, I mean, they also come in like sheets of 10. So it's easier, you know, if you're doing the wristbands, then you could just put a strip of 10, you know, in the envelope or whatever. So it's. Okay, what's our next topic? Lauren, did you want to get into the reading the director packet?
Yeah, so we're gonna kind of take a look at one of the director packets. One of the number one things that we have discovered in the last few weeks is just that not everyone has taken advantage of some of the information. So we want to make sure that you guys can see like what is out there for you to look at and take advantage of. So we're briefly just going to look at one you haven't seen yet. And did that work? Are you seeing my screen? Hopefully. Can you guys see this?
Yes.
Okay. So this is the CBE show coming up on March 4th. I know a lot of us are going to South Brunswick, but this is a show that maybe a lot of us haven't been to yet because it's a new show last year. So in your event email, you will get a link to our shared Google Drive folder, and I always attach them as well, but that way if the show host updates something, then this is always the most updated document. So this is the shared folder for CB East. So first we're going to open up this director packet, and you can see there's usually like a welcome, and then there's first right off the bat, you've got parking information, building logistics. You can see you're getting 10 wristbands for staff. Right there, we were just talking about this. 2 wristbands will be for the front sideline and 8 for the back. Bus and equipment drivers wishing to watch the performance must purchase a ticket unless they've been given a wristband from the director. So that's like all spelled out right there. So you can find out how many wristbands am I getting this week so that you can plan for that. Maybe your parent driving the floor wants to stay and watch your whole class from the front. So then they would need to buy a front side wristband. Usually you'll see if you have classroom access or if it's hallway access for your stuff, or if you're in the auditorium. This is important here. You might have a student who needs an elevator, so you're supposed to email in advance. And then of course, removing your items. You'll see when sound checks start. You'll see all about warm up and if there's music permitted, because some of our warm ups there isn't music permitted. You can see information about how to enter and exit the floor. And usually people will type it out and they'll also give you maps in a second. They'll tell you where to enter, come in through the main entrance with your props, equipment, and floor at unit check-in, and then how to do floor folding. In some places, there's not great floor folding space, and that's just kind of the way it is. But then you can maybe ask the kids to fold it a little bit nicer in the gym, so you can plan for that as their director. Hey, post-show, we just need to fold it a little bit nicer because it's got to go out and go right onto the cart after it goes out, or some places say absolutely no carts in the gym. So that's also important for you to know. Let's see, spectator information is in here for people who email us and say how much are tickets. You can also find that information on the website. It shows you, when you can get into the school as a spectator. And then there's usually pictures, which are also on our website. You can see where body warm up is. You can see your equipment warm up and what that looks like. You can, you can zoom in and you can oh, okay, where's that basketball hoop? That kind of stuff. This is your overhead map of the gym so that you have that. We're all visual people, right? So you can see.
Hey, Lauren, we lost your screen share.
Oh, why? That's sad. Let me go back and try to get it back again. Oh, your screen share ended unexpectedly. Well, that was unexpected. Okay, so now can you see it?
Yes.
Yeah.
Yay! So there's your overhead map of the gym. So it was described up above, but you see at the show, you enter from the spectator front right and you exit spectator front left. So this tells you how to fold your floor. So you would need to fold it as you're looking at it from the audience, from left to right, and then from back to front. So you know how to fold your floor so that you can enter effectively and efficiently so that the show can remain running on time and you don't get a timing penalty. And then look, they even have a map of their actual gym, which is fabulous. The performer entrance, the performer exit. You can see they put the dimensions on there as well, 60 feet by 96 feet. There's a vertical timing line. I know a bunch of units at the Hillsborough show did not fold their floor according to the horizontal timing line. So that was a little bit messy. And it makes the show run behind. And Michelle's going to show you in a moment where you can also access the dimensions. So here's your performer perspective. They just have a couple of extra pictures here. There's your floor folding area. So they're literally giving you a warning. Hey, this floor folding area isn't the greatest, so that you can plan and you can be prepared. So in this case, the show has a couple of separate files for the maps. Sometimes they're all in one, sometimes they're separate files. This is your overhead map of the school, which is what I always, PS, take screenshots, friends. That's my advice to you. Take a screenshot of the map because sometimes it just doesn't want to load. So if you take a screenshot and you've got that on your phone, you can just zoom in and do whatever you need to do. So this is your overhead map. That's always included with the event information. And then your overhead map of the building, the interior. And again, you can take a screenshot and then you can zoom in and see everything that you need to see for this event right on your phone. And you don't have to print stuff. Sometimes when you print it, it's super tiny. So I love that zoom thing. You know what I mean? So it's really, really, really super helpful. And there's so much awesome information in there. And if it's not in there, you can email the host or you can email us at maincoloredarts@gmail.com and we can help get you answers for whatever you need. The other thing that I would say is if you have any kind of a special circumstance, just be sure to email the event host in advance. Like, let's say you're sharing transportation and so you're going to be getting to the school 3 hours before your check-in time. Email the event host so that they know that in advance, because like at our show, we recycle the spots. So we don't have a space for you to go if we don't know that in advance. So email them so they can make accommodations for you so that you can have a good experience. If you have a ridiculously giant prop that is going to maybe, take up a lot of space, email the show host in advance so that they can plan for that, so that it doesn't, you know, kind of gum up the works for other units. So I would just say anytime you have something like that, our team actually has taken to emailing directors and saying, hey, can we do a pre-order of food? Because we perform like later at the events, and we've run into so many times where we go and there's no food left at the end of the night. So we do a pre-order. You can do anything like that if you just like email the director in advance. So, you know, rather than just being like, oh crap, there's never any food, you can take care of that just by emailing the unit director and saying, hey, can we buy food in advance? And makes kids happy. Any questions about the event packet or anything, how to find it or anything like that? You'll get an email, of course, every event that you're in.
I have a couple of things about the event packets. One thing is, I don't know if this happens to anybody else. If you have a Gmail account, sometimes the Comp Suite email that the event packets come from gets sent to that, what is it? The email promotion.
Promotions.
Yeah, promotional or something like that. So sometimes I've been, hey, I haven't seen that packet yet. Go digging in your promotional in Gmail. And the other thing, when you get the event packet and you get the map that says where unit drop off is, where truck parking is, where bus parking, make sure you either email or make a copy and share that with your truck or your trailer driver and your bus driver. I find that so much helpful because a lot of units or a lot of show hosts, they'll have somebody to greet you when you get to the school, but sometimes they won't, or you may just arrive and that one person may have just gone for coffee at the exact moment you arrive. So any information you can give your driver, I think would really help just to make things smooth for yourself that day.
And thanks for calling out the thing about the email. The other thing that I always try to do is once I send that event email, I post on the Facebook group, hey, if you're attending the blank, blank, blank show, the email just went out, because it does go to your spam folder or whatever. So if you're not on our Facebook group, you totally should be if you're on this call. And you need to get in there because you'll see all kinds of fun stuff in there before other people do.
And also how Lauren said, like, she screenshots the map, you know, which is like, you have it more conveniently than going, like, say you're driving up to the school and you're like, which entrance do we go in? You know, and at least if you screenshotted it, you know, like the night before, like you have it very easily rather than trying to find the email and then click on the link and open it again. So, you know, you can kind of share it with the bus driver, you know, maybe that way too.
Yeah, and this may be like just my OCD, but advice, and take it if you want, is I have in my note reminder app a list of things I do to prep for a show every week, and I have my date the Thursday of every week, and I do those things where I make sure I have the map screenshotted, I have the logistical screenshot, and I have all those things that I do just to make sure. So like Saturday morning when I'm worried about, okay, whose mom's going to get them late, I'm not trying to remember all that then. I just have it all done ahead of time, and I set a weekly reminder for myself, and then I get really excited if we don't have a show that week, and I'm like, ha, 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 I did it already. But just advice. All right, I think if there are any more questions about the packets or anything. Okay, so, all right. So the next thing is we're going to look at the website for a few minutes, and just kind of, a lot of times when we get questions, either by text or Faith, that is not the right screen. Hold on. Hold on one second. I can't talk and screen at the same time. Should be this. Do you see the website there? Yeah.
Yes.
Okay. Okay. The two monitor thing throws me sometimes. All right. So a lot of times the questions we get about things like the rule book and things like that. I just want to make sure everybody knows where you can find that on the website. And then we'll look at a couple other things too. So if you have any questions about any of that, when you go to our website, and it's just maygards.com, you can go to resources and go to main resources. And on that page, we put like quick reference, because this is what people want to know, like once the season gets going, if you're like, oh, double check the timing, Double check, we look at this all the time, right? The reclass numbers until March 11th. And so you can just double check things really quickly. So that's on that page. Keeping in mind, it's not written here, but just a friendly reminder that if you are promoted to a new sheet, we made a rule this year that you are allowed to continue using the timing outlines for your class that you originally signed up in. So if you have to go from regional A to A, you don't have to panic about getting a penalty for having a shorter show. But here's what we want to take a look at. And this is always a work in progress. We're always trying to update and absolutely up to suggestions if there's more things people want to see. So the main thing, our main rule book for 2023 is up here. We also put WGI rules and policies because a lot of times our rule book is basically just referring to things from WGI. Our membership process, which we're pretty much done with for now, but it was there in case you needed it for how to sign up at the beginning. All the information on Safe Sport, reclassification and timing, which is basically just all this information again. This we don't need now, but this was all set up at the start of the season, the combined schools application, and then we'll update that for 2024. The sheets. So if you haven't already, and this is one thing the judges always say they'd love for us as instructors to be more familiar with, this is where you can check out all the sheets for your class, including our new novice class sheets that we just got approved earlier this year. The class structure, our rules about copyright, code of conduct, this participant protection reporting form is really important. And that is actually so important that under the resources tab, it's also its own link. So if anybody that participates in any main organizations has an issue, that will come directly to us. And then the clinic presentations, everything that we've done in the past couple of years, you'll find links to that. So if you're not able to attend, they're pretty much sorted by years. And then you can see the ones for so far this year, the different town halls. So if you missed any of our ones from earlier this year, they're there for you. So if most of the questions that you have during the season, if you just hit this page and start looking, you should be able to find it. Before I move on to the next piece, I want to share with the web. Any questions about the resources page? Cool. All right. So I just want to go over something about the show pages. I'm going to pull up the one from yesterday. These are always in flux. Like Lauren says, we're updating them all the time. So I'll just show you a couple different just to see what you can find on here. Now, one thing I want to point out that these show pages, though it's useful for us as directors, the main audience is really people that are like your parents or somebody that wants to come visit because they don't have access to the director's packet that you do. So this doesn't have the detail that you'll get as a director, but it's still great quick reference for you. And more importantly, make sure you're letting your families know, hey, maingarts.com, you can go here for the schedule, you can go here. So they can start to look ahead if they have questions, and then maybe you get less emails, right? So this is just one of the shows from yesterday. What we always try to do is have the address of the show, again, looking at the spectators in mind. And then like we had some extra information because issues with GPS finding our building. We have the same issue with the Southern Regional show. We have a little blurb about how, like, if you're coming to the show, where trucks and buses have to go versus the address spectators should use. Start time as soon as we have it confirmed. What Lauren showed you earlier was what all the groups, when you do your show host application or form or whatever, I'm sorry, host contract, that's what it is, your show host contract, you put your tentative start time. But those can get adjusted. If the show is smaller than you anticipated, you might move your start time later. If the show is larger than anticipated, you might do your start time earlier. If your school decides to host ACTs, you might move your start. So things like that's always in flux. So this, I usually don't put, I really don't put this until we have the schedule locked down, because what I don't want to have happen is a parent saying, oh, I went on the web and I saw that it started at 3 and now you're telling me it starts at 2 and I can't be like stuff like that. So I want to wait until the schedule's there. But if you, for your planning purposes, go to CompSuite, like Lauren showed us earlier. Ticket prices, same thing. So what you'll see is once the director's packet goes up, information that's going to be useful for your parents or your friends, your alumni, whatever, that's what you're going to see on the website. This is live updated, so it's basically just an embedded link. So if something updates on Competition Suite, this is a live update. And then also for your planning purposes, the judges, and if there is a change, Eric gets it to me and I update it as soon as I can. Your show specs. So if you want to go see the show spec form, the link is there. Again, once we get the show packet, we put the competition area. We decided to put the timing thing just because how many of us do what I did one day and just like got all flustered, like, wait, where is it? It's just a quick reference for you. Even though it's in your director packet, it's here too. And then any photos we got from the show hosts. So that's what a show looks like once we have all the information. Let me go into the future and show you what we have up until then. So let me get Upper Dublin, because that's a little bit into the future. Obviously, we don't have the show packet. So up until we have the show packet, it's a little less information. Our start time, like I said, is TBD. This is actually what Lauren was saying, putting things manually. We have Google Docs for every show, which is basically taking the participant list from CompSuite and just keeping it in here so that it can live update. And you'll see the last time it was updated. So after the every weekend, after classifications and reclassifications, after people drop out, add in, I try to update this as quickly as possible. Some weeks are better than others, but it's just a good reference, especially again for your audience. So if your parents are like, I want to go watch a show, which show do I want to watch? And they'll see this, oh, there's a lot of guards, maybe I'll go to that show or something like that. Judges are here, and then if we have the spec form, we'll have it. If we don't have it yet, it's not there yet, and then the pictures. But like I said, once we get the director's packet, we add more to the show page.
Do you mind, Michelle, could you click on one of the venue spec forms? Just, I think some people maybe have never like knew they were there.
Yes.
Like you can click on yours because you just did yours. Oh wait, yours because you just had the new gym.
Yeah, mine is a little incomplete. Yeah,
All right.
I do have to update it. Literally, those of you who don't know, like the first time we could measure the gym was yesterday, the day of the show.
Right.
So that was awesome.
Pretty
Let me pull up. So Council Rock. Okay. So what that's different. I don't know why
That's because it was because I actually submitted mine the first year that we could.
Oh my gosh.
Do
a good one.
Let's see.
Springford should be good.
Or CB East. CB East is good. Yeah, do that one.
All right, let me go back because it's in the future. Okay.
Because they were a new host last year, so theirs is on there.
There we go.
So this form will show you guys like the measurements and like all the things. I know it's really hard to read there, but you can literally see like if there's stairs, you know, how much travel time between the body and equipment, all that good stuff is in there. I mean, of course, that's on the schedule too, but this has a lot of really good information if you have like a large floor and you need to see measurements. And especially next year when you're deciding on which shows you want to go to, you can go in and be a creeper and look at all the stats. You know,
yeah, because these, so the way it works, let me come back. The way it works with the, let me come back to this, to the web is the show, we just reuse the same show page. We just, after the season's over, we'll delete the schedules, delete the judges, but the stuff will stay there. The spec sheet and the pictures will stay there unless the show host says, hey, we're changing something or we have a different facility, and then we'll update it. Lastly, and I'm sure if you're here, chances are you are already on our email list, but if you maybe want to get some of your staff people to join on the email list or anything like that, the easiest way, a lot of people just post on Facebook, hey, I'm not getting the emails. The easiest way is to just hit here and subscribe. So I'm going to go ahead and stop sharing. Are there any questions about that? Awesome. All right. What is next? Matt, I think you're next.
I am next. I apologize for the darkness. The Wi-Fi in my house is terrible, so I have to sit in my car to do calls. Um, so let's talk a little bit about coming onto the floor. So if your performance time is 4:36, and that's what your performance time is, 4:36 is when you should be crossing the 50 to do your full setup. So most times you're in the waiting area. As soon as that color guard before you gets past the 50, you can then start to pull out your floor, get your props up, get everything up to the 50. And that's usually where the timing and penalty judge will meet you. They will meet you at the 50. So as soon as you see that other color guard cross the 50, you can pull stuff out, get to the 50, and that's when usually the timing and penalty judge will say, okay, go. But so that go time should be your exact performance time. So um, don't you don't have to sit in the back corner of the gym or wherever the entrance is to wait for someone to bring you on. As long as that other color guard has crossed the 50, you can start to bring out your floor, start to bring out your props, get to the 50. The timing and penalty judge will probably ask you how many performers, and then he'll say, are you ready to go? And you say yes, and you go ahead on about your business. Um, so just make sure that you're aware of those things. So if your performance time is 4:36, that's not when you get to the gym. That's when you should be crossing the 50. I think sometimes what happens is some of us, who are less seasoned, um, will wait in the back for the timing and penalty judge to point to them to go. As soon as that other color guard is past the 50, you can start your process, your pre-pull, if we're going to call it something, and you get to the 50, and then the timing and penalty judge will let you go. Um, let's see. Anyone have any questions on that? Okay, so going penalties don't start until the mid-season show, except for delay of show.
Just
So
timing, just timing
just
penalty.
timing, just
Aren't
timing
in
penalties
flux, yeah.
aren't in effect. Everything else is. So if you have a boundary line violation, you're going to get a penalty for that. If you know, anything other than timing, you can anything other than the timing of your show. So isn't for interval time, anything. Oh, so if your class requires you to have a 3.5 minutes is your minimum time, you will not get a penalty if you perform 3 minutes and 15 seconds until mid-season. But if you go over your allotted total time, so if you go over your 7 minutes, your 8 minutes, your 9 minutes, you will get a penalty for that. If so just really be careful that you understand, because that's always, I always laugh and we talk to our staff, and that's the only caption you should have a 0 in. So the for the for the performance time of your show, you will not get a penalty if you don't perform whatever the minimum amount is until mid-season, but everything else is in effect. So just understand that you still need to worry about, and that's why we talked a little bit about pulling to the 50, going on your start time, so that you don't get what's called a delay of show penalty, which is for some reason you're way over your 7, 8, 9, or 10 minutes, however many minutes it is for your class, then you're going to get a penalty. Especially with the size of all our classes, and you know the competition, the areas that groups are grouped in within their numbers, you know, you don't want to get a 3 or a 4-10 penalty because that could cost you a place or 2 or 3. So just really be careful that you are making sure that you practice that, you time it, uh, all of that sorts of stuff. We practice it all the time. I have a stopwatch timer. I know exactly within a minute, within a second or two, how long anything is going to take us. So better to be safe than sorry. So just be aware of that. That all penalties are in effect except for your performance time penalty. Um, any question on that? And then obviously once we hit mid-season, then that penalty will also start to take effect after that. Just a couple of things about our post-event survey. We need to kind of get our, I think sometimes we think that if we fill that out, someone's going to get in trouble. No one's getting in trouble. If you feel now, no one's going to get in trouble. No one's going to get screamed at. No one's going to not be able to have a show again in their life. These are just areas of opportunity for the show host, for the judges, for us on the e-board to see how we can do things better to make your experience better. So it's not a bad thing. Now, one thing I do want to say to you is when you are discussing an issue that you may have had with a judge in their commentary, in their behavior and critique, anything like that, you need to be prepared. So you can't just write, oh, the judge didn't give us enough points. Well, okay, great. So why were they not? So the more information you can provide, the more specific things can be, the better, the more opportunity Eric will have to coach and mentor and change that and train that judge. Or the more opportunity the e-board will have to talk to the show host to say, hey, maybe next year, let's think about this. Let's think about so that we can make the experience better. They're not, they're not like for some of you young ones, you won't even know what this is, but there used to be like a thing where you could protest a judge and it was a big deal. And it's not like that. It's so that we can get information to make each unit's experience better. That's what those post-event surveys are for. And I would have to tell you that and even if you have a great experience, fill one of those out. We want to hear those things too. If you had a great dialogue with the judge, or you feel that your judge, this one particular judge, got it, they gave a great tape, your kids were able to listen to it. So good things can be put on there too. The more surveys we get back, the better we're able to provide a better experience to you from the judges, from the experience at the show. You know, all those sorts of things, we can't fix them unless we have information on them. So, and I know, believe me, I am 100% guilty of it myself. I'm like, oh, I don't have time for this. But then you have to kind of force yourself because obviously we all want our experience to be as top notch as we possibly can. And the more information that we have, that Eric has, that the hosts have, the better off we can make things going forward. So that's really you just being a partner in making sure that the circuit runs smoothly and the judges run smoothly. You know, it takes a village. So um, just make sure you tell all your friends, tell all your color people, hey, my director friend, make sure you fill out this survey. So that's the more we can get, the better off we'll be. So, and those come out. I think the email comes from Ginny or from US Bands after every show. So let's just make sure we start to get some of those in.
It comes from me, and I try to get it out on Saturday night after the show, or Sunday if there's a Sunday show. But at the very latest, usually Sunday.
It's usually right when you're ready to go to bed after you get home from your show. You see your email from Ginny.
Just remember, that means I'm still up.
I didn't see one from Hillsborough. It's fine. I didn't have any, I mean, it was a wonderful show. I didn't have anything negative to say, but I didn't see one after Hillsborough. Just, it's no big deal. Just wanted to let you know.
If you don't, you know where to find me. If-
Okay.
If you're looking for something, if you're looking for a survey and you don't receive one, sometimes firewalls block things
Gotcha.
like that. Just email me and I'll get you.
Okay, thanks,
get you one.
Jenny. Thanks, Matt, too.
All right. So we're getting to the end here. Just a couple of things. We've had some questions about the yearbook pages. Just want to let everybody know we're going to have that information in this week's email. And same as last year, if you are struggling with the creative side of it, just reach out to me. I'm more than willing to help you. And I also highly encourage you to try, like, the free version of Canva is fantastic. And it doesn't have to be a lot. Think about what your kids want. A lot of instructors reach out to their kids, reach out to their student leadership. It's what you want to represent your season. So keep an eye out for that in the email coming up this week. Coming up in the next week or two, there's going to be an adjudication clinic that Eric's going to be running with our adjudicators. And we are currently taking questions for that. So we'll push out a Google form. So if you have any questions that you want Eric to share with our adjudicators, or if anybody has any questions that are in the top of your mind right now, we'll write it down and make sure he gets that information. And I believe that's pretty much what we have based on the Google form and what questions have been coming to us and things that we've been noticing as the season has been progressing. But does anybody have anything else they want to learn about or have questions about that's on the call right now?
I had a question about, and I don't know if, I mean, I'm sure the e-board can definitely answer, but I don't know if anybody else here has had the experience of it. When you get promoted, visit, whatever, however you guys called it, that we're entitled to a visit, like a session. Is that a virtual session or does somebody come? It's a virtual session. So I would send a video. Okay.
Yeah. So you'll send a video, and if you have any specific questions, and I'm so sorry, I emailed you about that, but maybe it went to spam or something like that. But yeah, so that's all you have to do is upload like a video to a private YouTube link or whatever. And actually Ginny today offered to manage that for us. So if you want to
Okay.
straight to Ginny, that's fine. Yeah, so that's anybody who gets promoted to a different sheet. When you get your reclassification email, it does say you are entitled to a free consultation, and that is a video consultation.
Oh, I send a video like to a private YouTube link just to main guards, or
So if you send color guards and also Ginny, that'll be great. That way we both know that you got it.
and then somebody will watch it and send me back feedback. Okay.
And then if there's further follow-up that's needed, Trish, or wanted, we can accommodate that as well.
Okay.
So as long as you just send a copy of the video to me, I will get it to our adjudicator that's working on that.
Awesome. Thank you.
Yeah, and that's
Hi, I have a question. Oh.
Yeah.
I have one question. I know when we were talking about critique before, look for it.
You're breaking up a little, Pat. Do you want to type it into the chat?
Yeah, I'll type it. Okay.
Okay. If anybody's on the call who signed up for a consultation, like with their dues, You'll be getting an email about that as well. It's going to be the same thing that we just talked about. You can submit the video, and then if you have any questions, it'll be the same kind of a process in case there's anyone on that applies to.
Any other questions while we're waiting for Patty to write that in the chat?
Hey, Michelle.
Yeah.
It's Woody. I have a quick question. Since the last time we did Maine, we were in a much smaller class and it never applied. And then of course the pandemic, and then we didn't do Maine last year. What is the splitting of championships?
Ah,
I have no idea what that. So are you saying
I can
that?
take this one.
you want to
Okay.
take, yeah, you'll
Yeah,
do,
I'll take
I'll
this.
get it, and then you'll fix things that I get wrong. So why don't we
No,
just
it's fine.
cut out the middleman?
So, so basically, if a single class like SA or SAA or SRA or SRAA, if any of those classes have 18 now, it's new this year, 18 or more people are going to championships, then the class will be split into 2 divisions. So it's kind of like rounds with WGI, except that's the final countdown. So right now, Scholastic A has 22 units attending championships. So it's likely that class will be split at championships. So then it would be 11 and 11. The way that we do the seating is we take your raw score. So it's your final score regardless, it's your highest score regardless of when it was. So you could score higher on March 25th than you did on April 1st, and it would be your highest score. We take that, and then we do the formula for weeks to championships, in case some units aren't coming out after mid-season, you know what I mean? So it's the weeks till championships. So it's the raw score plus the weeks to championships. We take that score, no bonus points, no nothing. That score is the seeding score for the units as far as which division they're going into. So first place goes into Division A, second place goes into Division B, third place goes into Division A, fourth place goes into Division B. So that, hopefully we're splitting the classes in an equitable manner where like your top teams are still at the top. It's not like, if you're familiar with Cavalcade and how they do things, it's not like the bottom half of the class goes one place and the top half goes somewhere else. It's still 2 very competitive classes for championships. So that's how the classes get split. Then after they're split, then we add the bonus points in and all that jazz. And then that's how you get seated for your performance order. Does that answer your question?
It does. One more question. It's not going to be like, or do you split it up where, for instance, if one group is like first on and then we give them a break and then the second group is in the afternoon, is it going to be like split where some people would be in the morning, some people would be in the afternoon, or will they kind of run concurrent to each other?
Well, they're in the same place.
Okay.
They're in the same exact venue. So one class will by default go on before the other class.
Yeah.
So there's no
I guess
real-
I was kind of thinking about like what they're doing with WGI now, where they put Scholastic A on, then they'll throw in regional A's, and then they'll do
So-
the next round of Scholastic A's.
So actually, you know what? Since we're on the call, I can answer that too, because I know why that is too.
Oh, I know it is, like for judging
Oh, okay.
purposes, but we
It's
won't
for
have that at
judging.
championships there, right?
Exactly. It's for critique at the regional,
Yeah,
and we have
okay.
critique at our, and in years past when we had to split the classes, sometimes it was a different panel. So one panel might judge the first essay and the second panel might judge the second. It'll just depend on how the day looks and how we need to break up the judges.
So at Bethlehem, the first half critique is going to be after the first half. It's not gonna be at the end of the night. It's not gonna be at the end of the entire class. Oh, that's good. Okay.
Yeah, so that's why they stuck the regional A's and the IAs. It's because they need the same panel to judge all the essays for prelims. So in order to give the critique opportunity, they needed to do essay and then a huge block of time for the critiques and a break
Right.
block of essays.
So going back to this, what Woody was saying about the split class, does that mean that there's 2 Scholastic A champions then?
Yep.
Okay.
And then one SAA, or maybe 2.
See, we got 3 more weeks to reclass. Who knows?
It's been a crazy ride. I have a spreadsheet every week. I screenshotted to you earlier, Trish. It's a crazy screenshot. It's changing a lot. And we'll see how it ends up. It's like we could do like betting and make money on this or something. I don't know. But it's gonna be a fun ride, and we'll see what happens at the end. I think Pat's question came through. And let me see.
When there is a critique, is there a special day we should look at to sign up?
Yes, so good question. So the critique sign up always goes live on Tuesday night at 9 p.m. And then I usually try to, I sometimes will do a Facebook post, but it's always in the email that goes out. So the event email that goes out for each event. Some people were telling me, oh, I didn't get an email about when critique sign up was, but it's in the event email. There's not a separate email about critique. So the email that goes out, it's like bulleted. It's like schedule, event information, critique. There's different bullets that are on there, and that's one of the bottom headings because you need to schedule the event information first. But yeah, Tuesday 9 p.m. is when it goes live.
Cool. Great
Sign up.
question. Anybody else?
I should mention, if there's no sign up, that'll also be in your email. Like it'll say critique is for everyone at this event, so there's no need to sign up in CommSuite.
Yeah. And that'll be shows that have under 20 units.
Good questions, friends. Anything else?
Hey guys, I just want to say what a great job the e-board does. You guys are amazing. We're in different, we're in different circuits too, where we never know what's going on and nothing ever gets addressed. And you guys are amazing with the follow-up and just your attention to detail. So I know you probably don't hear it a lot, but thank you guys so much for what you do.
Thanks, Woody.
Thank you, Woody.
Thank you, Woody.
And Pete, sorry he couldn't be on the call. He's driving back from Salem from the regional right now, by the way. I should mention that.
All right. So last call for any questions for us, or if you have anything in mind for the judges clinic.
I'll
But
share with you guys, one of the questions we've gotten was like, why did our score go down from the previous week? That's one of the things that's going to be in that clinic. Why did our score go down? We had a better run. So that's one of them. So if you want to start thinking about questions that you might have about the judging, that would be great.
Hey, what clinic? What am I
Oh,
missing?
no,
Is there a clinic?
it's a clinic. Sorry, wait, it's a clinic for the adjudicators. So it's not our clinic,
Oh, okay.
but
Oh, no,
they're
no, this
asking
is
for
not.
questions from us.
This is for us,
Who's that?
Michelle. This one is for us.
Oh, this one is for us. Oh, well,
This
then
is-
I don't know what's going on.
This is the town hall that we're going to do. I'm not sure if other judges other than Eric will be there, but this is the
Oh,
town.
okay.
It's like a Q&A session, just like we did here, but if it's anything judge related.
Oh, well, then good thing I'm not on the
The
e-board.
judges have a clinic every Tuesday night. They have a
Okay.
Tuesday night meeting. Yeah.
All right. We don't have a date for that yet. But
Okay. Thank you.
listen, I'm going to call my home show hangover. I'm going to blame that.
Yes. God bless you.
All right. Anything else? All right. Well, if there's nothing else, and like I said, keep an eye out for these things coming in the email. And thank you guys for coming out on a Sunday night. And have a great week and happy President's Day.
Thanks,
Thank you,
guys. Have a good
everybody. Have a
one.
great night.
Thank you guys. Oh, we can stop recording.
I'm doing that right now.